What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the Zero to Here podcast. I am your host, Denny Dumas. Tonight on the show, a good friend of mine, Mike Belle. Big news in his golf world. He just recently qualified for the Mackenzie Tour, which is the Canadian Tour, which is 2 steps below the PGA Tour. So in a couple years from now, he could be playing against Tiger Woods and Rory McIlroy in the Masters. Seriously, this guy's good. We chat all about his final round, which was very up and down a week and a half ago at the Canadian Tour Q School. He's an interesting guy. He's overcome some big hurdles and super excited for him. Listen to his story. Let me know what you think. And if you like it or don't, leave us a review on iTunes and Spotify. Love you. Mike Belle, I am so excited. I've been waiting for this for a long time. I think I sent you an invite in December.
Yeah, right before I left for
you decided
Phoenix.
to fuck off for a few months.
Yeah.
I'm excited, man. I'm very, very excited. There's so much we can talk about. If anyone doesn't follow me on Instagram, first of all, you should. Second of all, my buddy qualified for the Mackenzie Tour, the Canadian Golf Tour, this past weekend. Congrats, buddy.
Thanks, man.
A lot of hard work.
Yeah, it was a long process. A lot of depressed nights. But it was worth it. And,
how are you feeling right now?
I'm still like coming down from the high a little bit.
Yeah.
Like there's, I can't really like compare it to anything I've done before. Because it basically, like, Q School it's once a year, you get to play one time, and it determines your entire year, basically, if you're employed.
Yeah.
So it's like the worst job interview you can possibly do.
I want to explain to people how hard it actually is to qualify for golf tours. But I want to start by just helping people understand how hard golf is.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm a pretty athletic kid.
Yeah.
Carl, you can beg to differ if you'd like. It's hard. I've been playing for 9 years, not religiously like Michael. And I feel like I go 2 steps forward, 4 steps back every year. Why is it so hard?
I'm not sure. I think part of it is that from like just looking from an outside perspective, it looks kind of simple. It's like you got something in your hand. There's a ball that's not moving. It should be pretty easy for me to move my body in a way to hit this thing. And even for athletes, the first time they swing a club, they'll miss the ball completely. And it's like you have to get past the stage of it. Like when you first start golf, it's like frustrating and you don't want to play. But then you get to a certain point and it's kind of like addicting. Because as soon as you start hitting it kind of good, you expect to hit it good all the time.
Yeah.
And then that's when it's kind of like got its hooks in you and you're screwed for life.
You made a good point that it makes good athletes look silly often when they start. I think it's the same for me in just terms of like being so confused about why the ball is not going straight or why is it going over there every time? Why is it going 80 yards to the right every time?
In the past few years, there's been like more science that have come out, like explaining why it happens a certain way. And golf has kind of gone like a technology route explaining this stuff. But like, it doesn't make sense. It should be easier than it is, and it's not. And anyone that says it's easy either is lying to themselves or they haven't like actually tried.
Does anyone say it's easy?
Well, some people
who haven't played, people who haven't tried.
I don't know if they say it's easy, but the worst thing that you can get is when you say like you're a professional golfer and they'll say, oh, that's not really a sport. It's like if you can say to me that golf isn't a sport, I would love for you to try and actually see how silly it makes you look.
I feel so. Basing it off of the sports that I've played, it's by far the hardest.
Yeah.
Basketball, soccer, baseball, football are the ones that I played growing up.
But doesn't that make it a little bit more addicting?
It's way more addicting.
For how hard it is. Like there's no, like you always know you can get better the next day, which is why I think people like it. Like there's no perfecting it.
Yeah, that is 100% correct. I feel like, again, I was pretty athletic growing up.
Yeah.
And the stuff that I tried, I was always pretty good at. Like I didn't play football till high school, and I was pretty good at football because I got away with a lot of things just by being faster and more athletic than people.
There's no sheet in golf.
There's no there's no Cole's Notes version.
But like, if you compare it, you guys both played high level basketball. You can sit on a free throw line and make 100 free throws in a row. Mm-hmm. You can sit on a driving range and you'd be hard pressed to hit 10 shots that were the exact same in a row.
That's so true.
I can't hit 2.
What?
Yeah, so like it feels like you're making this. It feels like you're making the same action at the ball. It feels like you're swinging the same, and one can go straight and one can go 30 yards right, and you can sit there for an hour beating yourself up about why that happened.
The impressive thing, you're probably the best golfer I've ever actually like played a round of golf with. The impressive thing about you is it seems like you hit it very close to where you want to quite often. Yeah. Whereas for me, I'm aiming at that little flag stick on the green patch over there. And there's like a 6% chance I'm hitting towards it. Yeah?
I don't know. It takes a lot of practice. Like,
oh, shit.
I've been at this since I was like 10, and I've gotten to the point where I want to be in my career right now, but there's still like there's so many more things I can be good at, which is what's kind of cool about it. Like,
what's the number one thing you're working on right now?
Something I've been working on for a while is just consistency, and I think that came out at Q School. I've shot my last couple tries at Q School. I've had some good rounds, and then I'd have one bad round, and as soon as that happens, you're just fucked. So, especially, we'll probably get into all the Q School stuff, but consistency is like the biggest thing I've worked on recently. And this year I just kind of figured it out a little more.
So that's just, how else do you work on consistency other than repetition?
It's repetition on like the practice range or the driving range, but it's more like specific practice. So instead of just whacking a bunch of, like, get a basket of balls, hit them in an hour so you've practiced, it's more like hit a ball, go through your routine, step back, put down another ball, hit it. Because anyone can hit balls good if you put like an alignment stick down, take out a 5-iron, and hit 5-iron at the same target over and over. But it's a lot harder, say, if you take out a pitching wedge first, aim at a target on the right, to go through your routine, hit it, and then go back to your bag, take out a 5-iron, change the target. So it's more like on the course practice as opposed to practice range practice where you're just pounding balls back to back to back. It's more specific and it's harder.
Is that more important than just hitting? Like, because that's very time consuming.
It's very
so for a random golfer like me that goes to the range once a week, is it better for my 45 minutes or an hour that I'm there to hit 100 balls or to hit 40 balls practicing a routine?
It's a good question. So there's two types of practice that most people talk about. They call it like random practice versus block practice. What most casual golfers like yourself would probably benefit for is block practice, which is just like getting repetitions in every time you have a chance,
just making
and then
contact with the ball. Basically.
Exactly. When you get to a certain level, you have to switch that to block practice, because when you get to like the skill level I'm at, if I just sit there with a 5-iron in my hand for an hour, I can hit the same shot over and over. But it's a lot more important to my practice if I, make it more like a tournament play where I'm, I'll hit a driver and then I'll hit a wedge and then I'll hit a 5-iron and then I'll hit a driver. You just kind of switch it up. But for the casual golfer, definitely, I just say get in the reps, like get used to swinging when you have time.
How much is mental practice for you? And the reason I ask that is because there's often times on the course for myself where let's say a pin is fairly tucked, and I'm going at it every time.
Yeah.
I'm not hitting at the middle of the green ever. I'm going for glory, right?
Yeah.
I don't.
So
if I take a double, it really doesn't affect my life.
Yeah. So is your goal to shoot a good number? Or is your goal to make a birdie? Because it's
I like
very,
when there's
very,
birdies on the card.
Yeah. So that's kind of what you got to decide when you play, right? So you might make birdie 2 times out of 10, but the other 8 times, or another 4 times you make par, but the other 4 times you'll make double.
Yeah.
So it depends kind of, do you want to walk off the course after 18 being happy you shot a number, or you want to walk off that one hole happy you made a birdie? So you just kind of, you got to decide kind of what you want.
When you're going into tournaments or rounds, are you looking at a course and saying, okay, these are the holes I want to take advantage of? Or are you basing it on where your tee shots go?
It's less the holes and more the pin locations. So we get every pro event, you get a pin sheet and they're all marked off on the greens. And you'll kind of look at it after you play your practice round and be like, okay, if the pin's in this spot, I can be more aggressive. It'd be like a red light, yellow light, green light kind of system.
Yeah.
And I'll try to score on the holes that I have green lights on, and I'll take my medicine on the holes where I think par will be good, because some people are going to try to get more out of that hole than they probably should. And that's what I did at Q School the whole week. Like I didn't shoot a super low number. I wasn't I shot 69, 70, 70. Some guys were shooting 65, but their other scores were high 70. So
even that guy that was in second going into the final round, I think shot like 77.
The guy, I think he's
minus 14.
Yeah, I think he was 5 or 6 shots ahead of me to start the day, and I ended up beating him by 2.
Yeah.
But you just have to, and it's really like, I'm not saying this is easy. Like, it's really hard.
It's definitely not
really
easy.
hard. It's really hard. Like when you have a wedge in your hand and you're like, okay, I'm not going to aim at the pin here. Because in the back of your mind, your mind is saying like, get aggressive. We should go for it. And then you got this other thing saying like, just be smart. And you kind of have to get to a point where the correct shot isn't necessarily the one that's closer to the hole.
While you're in tournaments like this, is this something that your caddy is saying, okay, this is a red light hole? I know you have 127 yards in, Mike. I know you want to hit it at the pin. You need to hit it at the middle of the green.
Yeah. My caddy for Q School, my buddy John.
Yeah.
Big shout out. He helped me a lot this week. We'll go through like a pretty lengthy conversation about like where we want to have the ball end up or start on the green, and then we'll kind of base our decisions off that. But there's not one shot during Q School where you're not like super specific about a target. And there's 72 approach shots to the green, and they're probably say maybe a quarter of them you're actually aiming at the pin.
Really?
Yeah. And it's hard because like the hardest thing is not the hardest thing, but it's so hard to like trick your brain into saying like, because you're aiming at the green, you need something to aim at, and the pin is like the only thing your mind can see. And you're like, no, I'm going to aim somewhere else and try to hit it there. And you can be at like the top of your backswing about to hit the ball, and you're like, you know what? I'm going to go at the pin. But you have to, like, before you pull the trigger, you have to really decide that, you know what, I'm just going to aim at the middle of the green. I'm going to try to make a 1 putt, and if I don't, I 2 putt. And it's just like, it's process, and then see where you are at the end of the tournament.
Would that be the biggest thing for an amateur to do to save strokes in a round?
I bet, yeah. So
is that the biggest thing?
I've played with you and Alex a lot.
Don't talk about Alex because he's all over the fucking place.
I'll talk with Kat. You want me to talk about your golf game?
Sure.
So I think that if you had better course management, you could probably knock off between like 2 to 4, 3 to 5 shots a round. Because you hit the ball good enough, but I don't think you hit it like smart enough. You just want to make the lowest score you can on every hole, which is fine because you're in Palm Springs for a couple weeks at a time and you want to see how low you can shoot.
Exactly.
But you could also go home being like, I played 7 rounds and all 7 rounds I shot under 75, as opposed to like shot one round 72 and then I shot one round in the 80s, or I don't know. You just got to decide what you want. But you hit it good enough to the point where if you chose like a smart target to the green, you could hit it on the green as opposed to aiming at the pin and missing the green. Because
I think I'm motivated to. It's hard. I think it's hard as an am with limited experience. And yeah, sure, I've been playing for 9 years, so I played a lot of rounds of golf, but nowhere near the amount of golf holes that you've played. Is to know which hole, which green is a red light.
Yeah, that's tough.
Especially if you don't play course all the time, you don't know the undulation of a green. So it's hard to it's really push yourself to not hit it at the pin.
So if when I explain it to people, think of like a shotgun. When a shotgun sprays, it goes like every different direction. There's like a central pattern, a left pattern, and a right pattern. Even pro golfers have like their stock shots that are like in the center, and then they'll miss some left and miss some right. The difference between pros and AMs is that it's like it gets smaller and smaller the better you get.
Yeah.
But even for someone like you could find out pretty quickly, like my 5-iron, if I hit it good, is here. If I miss it left, say it's like 15 yards left, or if I miss it right, it's 15 yards right. Mm-hmm. And then you can aim your ball in a direction on the green where if I do hit one of my shots that is the wayward pattern, it's still going to end up okay.
Yeah. I do that off the tee now.
Yeah.
But I don't do it at greens. Okay, I can work on that. Yeah. Let's talk more about you, not me. My golf game is not getting anywhere near the Mackenzie Tour in the near future.
No, I like that because one of my favorite things is when you beat Alex in Palm Springs and then he likes to complain about how it wasn't fair.
For the rest of my life, I will not let Alex beat me. Ever. He says, okay, we play a lot of golf together. Let's say 25 rounds a year, maybe. And I think he probably wins 2 of them. And he's going to listen to this and argue and tell everyone that I cheat. I do the exact same things that he does, okay? We talk about it. We don't play it down
Special
like
handicaps.
pros, okay? I'll admit that. It's fine. Do you know what fluffing up your lie means, Carl?
No, I have no idea.
So Alex and I decide going into a round they're not playing it down. Playing it down means you hit every shot from exactly where the ball ends up.
Okay.
So if it ends up in a divot on the fairway, you're playing it out of a divot. If it ends up at the bottom of the rough, that's 2.5 inches long, you're playing it out of the bottom. What Alex and I decide is that we're not good enough golfers to play it down. So we fluff up our lies to make the round more enjoyable for each of us. Okay? So if it's in a divot, I put it on the nice grass right beside it. If it's down in the rough, I just fluff it up a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we've agreed that is the way we play golf.
But then when we get finished around and we're talking about scores, Alex will be like, well, Denny fluffed his lie here. And I did. But it's like, you know what? You fluffed your lie too, Alex.
What would Alex do if we played it down around the greens? He can't hit a good chip shot out of a good lie.
I have a big tournament coming up. I don't want to think about that.
That's a great point. Okay, we can't have a golf podcast without briefly mentioning Tiger Woods.
Yeah.
Is he back?
He's back. He was like kind of back when he won the Tour Championship last year, but that was only a field of 30.
Yeah.
But when you win the Masters, that might be, if nothing else happens in his career winning another major, that might be one of my the best sporting moment I've ever seen.
It was cool on Sunday to see. Okay, let me ask you this, and this is on the record, but I want your honest opinion. Do you think Louis was paid? No, not Louis. Sorry, Molinari.
I've read things about this. I don't think he was.
Okay, he hit 2 shitty shots in the water.
He did.
I understand. But there's pressure on a Sunday.
I think all on that 12th hole, the short par 3. I think all 4 players that were tied or within one of the lead went in the water except Tiger. Right. So if Molinari, I don't think he was. And I like Tiger too much to even let that cross my mind because I don't want it to be tainted at all.
I don't think he did either. I want the conversation to happen.
I've heard the
because even the chip on 15 was ridiculous.
Yeah, I know.
He wasn't even close. He
No.
hit it in the front of the water.
I know it was a collapse, but
But that guy's good. That guy's solid. How does that happen?
I think it's just what we've talked about.
He wins tournaments. He's always plays good on Sunday.
Golf is just fucking hard. It doesn't matter where you are. Like,
that's hard to believe. I guess Jordan Spieth had that a few years ago at the Masters too on Sunday.
I wanted to bring this up. So the guy that won the Wells Fargo yesterday, his name is Max Homa. Max Homa.
Yeah.
So this is how hard golf is. In 2017, he missed 15 of 17 cuts on the PGA Tour. The 2 cuts that he made, I think he came dead last from the guys that made the cut.
Okay.
He made like $18,000 that year on the PGA Tour. Just like not great. And then last year he was playing his last PGA Tour event and he had to make a certain amount of money to keep his card or else he was going back to the Webb Q school. And he was 4 shots off the cut line and he birdied 15, 16, 17, 18.
To make the cut on the number?
To make the cut on the number and to keep his card. And then 6 months later, he won an event. And he collected like 1.6 million and is pretty set for the rest of his career. But like, there's so many stories of guys that will like miss 10 cuts in a row and then come first. Well, it's the weirdest sport to try to explain. Because like your scores look like they're really far off, but like your swing is just like a little feel away from being really good.
Yeah. For someone who is starting to understand the mental side of the game a little bit better,
yeah,
it's very curious to see guys that are in the top 10 in the world 4 years ago.
Yeah.
Now no one even knows who they are. Or just making a comeback. Like Duffner is a good example, right? Won a few tournaments 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah.
Fell off the face of the earth.
Major.
Yeah. He won a major.
He won a major. Yeah. And then disappears. That's why I think that's where we go back to consistency. Like the guys that are the most consistent week in and week out are usually the guys that are the best. They may not win all the time, but like a guy like Matt Kuchar, he wins like maybe maybe wins once a year, but like you look at the leaderboard at the end of the week and it's like top 10, top 10, top 10,
all
top 10.
Time.
And he's fine with that because he's cashing like $200,000, $300,000, $500,000 checks every week. But it just shows how good that guy is consistently.
Maybe I got to start with my club 3 inches off the ground.
Yeah, exactly. Just hover it a little bit.
Matt Kuchar, is he the only guy? I think he's the only guy that I can name.
There's a few that do it, but he's like the biggest name that does it.
Wait,
so
explain
when you address the ball, meaning clubs are right up against the ball, you're ready to hit your shot. He lifts the club off the ground like it looks like a lot.
Quite a bit.
Maybe it's 2 inches. I don't know, 3 inches maybe, and then starts his backswing. So it's like his club is above the ball basically.
So he lines it up, picks it up, and then goes.
Picks it up like hovers it and then goes.
Why does he do that?
I don't know. Some guys like to start their swing that way because they're like, I don't know. You'd have to ask him. Get him on the pod.
I'll DM him tonight. Think I would fly? I DM'd Pete Carroll last week.
Yeah, what did he say?
He said, I'm currently in the middle of the draft. I'll get back to you. No, I'm going to get him on.
Did you say, hey, Pete, why are all the Seahawks leaving?
I'm excited about the rebuilding.
Yeah?
Yeah. We weren't going to win with the team we had last year.
I was just hoping they'd come to their senses and pay Russ eventually. Because that took too long.
Do you think that's... So, obviously, I'm very excited about this topic.
Would you be a Seahawks fan if they let him walk?
Yeah, 100%.
Would you? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's a lot of money.
I know.
What's the salary cap in the NFL? Can you look that up?
No idea. Sure.
Because he's getting $140 million over 4 years.
But
like, math on that.
Yeah, I think sometimes Seahawks fans are brainwashed to thinking you can build a team like they did before. They were lucky when they didn't have to pay like Earl Thomas, Sherman, Russ, another one of their DBs. They were like min salary guys just because they. I
think that's how you win, though.
I think that's how you win.
Because that's what the Patriots are doing right now. They have a shit ton of nobodies.
Yeah.
Right? They have Tom Brady and nobodies.
Brady, and then I think they have a lot of nobodies, but I think their nobodies are like good. Like they're not paid, but they fill roles really, really well.
It's 189 million.
So Russ has like 20% of that.
Yeah.
And there's 53 other guys they have to pay. It's a lot of money.
It's a ton. It's really hard to get a franchise QB though.
Yeah. And when they're in negotiations, I was going back and forth and I didn't decide either way. So I was happy if they kept him because I love him and he wins games.
He wins games that they shouldn't win.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even making the playoffs last year was ridiculous.
Yeah.
But at the same time, an extra $40 million a year could be beneficial. I don't know. We'll see. So you think Tiger's going to win? You think Tiger's going to win an 82nd tournament?
I think that he's going to win another major this year because there's 2 more majors that are at courses he's won at before. I think he's won at Bethpage and he's won at Pebble. I'd be very surprised if he wasn't like near the lead at Pebble. So he's destroyed people there before.
So I played golf with Thierman yesterday.
Yeah.
And we're walking down one of the fairways. And I'm like, next major's coming up soon, isn't it? And I think it's the same week as your tournament.
Yeah.
So, and Thierman's like, I think Tiger just went straight from the Masters to Bethpage. And so we start laughing and joking around. Like he literally doesn't give a shit anymore. He just wants to win majors.
He just wants to win.
He's just going to go from one to the other to the other. And he's going to play 4 tournaments a year. Yeah. Hopefully win 1 or 2 a year for the next 5 years. I love him. He's so good for the sport.
I wouldn't have got into golf if it wasn't for him. Like my earliest memories are of him. Like he made it cool to a degree. Like,
do you hear that Phil Mickelson interview when one of the reporters asked him, you must hate Tiger because he's taken so much money away from you or something like that?
No, Tiger's made him all his money.
That's what he said.
Yeah.
He's like, I fucking love Tiger.
Yeah.
If it weren't for Tiger, every tournament win would be like $100,000. Yeah. Now they're 1.8.
What is it about him that draws people to him?
I think it's
like the Michael Jordan factor. It's like
it's that, and like I think golfers are seen as like gentlemen and like guys that like don't show emotion when they play. And he was like one of the first guys that was like dropping F-bombs on the course and like showing emotion, fist pumps. Like he didn't give a shit about anybody else. Like he was just there to win. And like one of my favorite interviews with him, and it's on the internet and it's awesome. It's this guy interviewing Tiger in his rookie year in the PGA Tour. And the guy's like, Tiger, what do you expect from your first PGA tournament? And Tiger's like, well, you know, I expect to win. And the interviewer's like, excuse me? And Tiger's like, I expect to win. And the interviewer's like, don't you think that's a slap in the face to the guys that have been out there for years and haven't won a tournament? And Tiger's like, he's like, why would I go out there if I'm not expecting myself to win the event? And the interviewer is like speechless. Yeah. And that's just his attitude, which is amazing. Like, why would you, like, the goal isn't to participate. He was like, I'm going there to win. And he's been like that his whole life.
It wasn't like his first major. He won by like 12 strokes or something crazy.
I think maybe the first Masters he won, he shot like 41 on the front. And all the broadcasts were like, well, maybe this guy isn't what he's like made out to be. And then he shot 30 on the back. And I think he won by like 10 or 12.
He won the 97 Masters by 12.
12. There
12.
You go. And he shot 41 on the front.
That's silly. So he had a few good days before that, apparently.
Talking about mental strength, that guy has.
He's a once of a generation guy, right?
Yeah.
He's like Michael Jordan. He's like a Wayne Gretzky. He's that guy that assumes they're winning every single time they play.
Yeah. I got a question for you.
Yes.
So you hate the Patriots.
I do.
Tom Brady isn't a physical specimen.
No, he's so shit. He's fat.
What he believes he's going to win everything he plays in, though.
I respect him a lot.
Okay, I was going to ask.
You
may not like him, but you got to respect that, you know, he's not the most physically gifted, but he's probably the smartest quarterback, one of the smartest, and he's mentally stronger than everyone he plays against.
I respect him. If I saw him in the street, I would punch him in the nose.
Yeah.
I'd go to jail. I'm okay with that.
But I'm glad you can admit you respect.
100%.
Because like,
how do you not anyone that says they do not respect someone that
You've seen
wins.
his draft day photos?
Oh my God. Have you seen his stomach? Same as Peyton Manning, right?
Those dad
Yeah,
bods,
Peyton
man.
Manning's the same type of person.
Yeah.
He's like
They're just
6'4", 6'5",
They're just
unathletic.
they're more prepared, and I don't think there's 1 second where they think they're going to lose. They're just going to go out there and they're going to do their thing.
Down at halftime, 27-3.
Yeah.
That's the definition right there.
Yeah.
Okay, I want to give people who don't follow golf a little bit of an understanding of how hard it is to qualify for these tours. So as of a few years ago, how long ago was this that they shuffled it? So now Mackenzie Tour is third in line to PGA Tour.
Yes, correct.
That happened fairly recently, right?
There's PGA Tour Canada, which is also the Mackenzie Tour. There's the Latino American Tour out in South America, which are like, they're on the same level. PGA Tour Canada and Latino American are the same.
Okay.
They're just different tours.
So they get spots to web.com
They got
as well?
spots to web.com as well. You move up one step, that's the web. We'll move up one more step up, that's the PGA Tour. In the past, I think maybe, I don't know when it started, 4 or 5 years ago maybe, you used to be able to just register for PGA Tour Q School. And it was 6 rounds. And
Can anyone do that?
there's like some requirements.
Okay.
You need a bunch of tournament scores that like are under a certain number.
Okay.
And then, but,
I couldn't go.
I
I couldn't like work on my mental game with you this weekend and then go to that next weekend.
Unfortunately, no. But in the past, like it was just, you could prepare all year for Q School for the PGA Tour. You played well that year and you were set. You'd be on the PGA Tour that year. And they moved it to having like levels. So now you can just go to web.com, but then if you get through web.com Q School, you have to play on the web for a year and then come top 25 on the money list, and then you graduate on the PGA Tour. Or you can do the route that I'm doing and go to the Mackenzie Tour first and then graduate to the web and then graduate to the PGA. So the talent level is way, way, way better than it's ever been, because only the top, when you're a pro golfer, you can string together 6 rounds in a row, and which what it used to be for the PGA Tour Q School, and just like be set for that week. Like you can just find something, play 6 good rounds in a row and get there. But now it's like 2-3 year process where you need to play good every single week you can't really have you can have a few terrible weeks, but like you need to be consistent for years at a time to get to where you want to be.
Yeah. So, okay, so progression is you qualify for Canadian Tour through Canadian Tour Q School.
Yeah.
You qualify for web.com by either, you have to play well on
You
the
have to play
Canadian
well on the
Tour
Canadian Tour.
and then go to web.com Q School.
Yeah, and it's not like I don't want to shrink how hard it is to get from the Mackenzie to the web. So like to automatically get onto the web from the Mackenzie Tour, you have to be top 5 on the money list.
Out of 195?
What
was the number?
I think there's about 200 guys with Mackenzie Tour cards, but only like 144 with my status, which is full status for the year. So like the other guys that have conditional status, they're not guaranteed any starts.
Okay.
And like it's not like the guys in the Mackenzie Tour are like that much worse than the PGA Tour guys. Like the guy who's I don't know what Aaron Wise, you could look up his world ranking. I think he's probably like 35th. My first Q School 3 years ago, he was at Crown Isle with me, and now he's ranked.
Is he that high in the world?
And now he's ranked like 35th in the world, maybe. So like the guys that are playing on the Mackenzie Tour are like ready for the PGA Tour. And then there's guys past the Mackenzie Tour on the web that are even closer, and they might not make it. So it's like you have to take everything like 1 week at a time, but it's hard to not look like there's a shitload of good golfers. And there's only 200 PGA Tour cards for everyone who plays golf in the world.
What separates those guys? What separates the guys that are like top 10 in web.com versus you, or like the top 25 in Canadian Tour?
So I would would. This might sound a little braggy. I would put my game against anyone on the Mackenzie Tour or the web. I would be fine playing against them and see how I did. I think the guys on the PGA Tour who are the top in the world are just more consistent more of the time. Mm-hmm. Anyone on the Mackenzie, the web, or the PGA Tour can shoot between 60 and 70 every single time they play. But the guys that are on the PGA Tour, they turn their bad round of 75 into 70, whereas guys kind of where I am, they turn their bad round of 75 into like 73. And over a 4-day tournament, that's like time 3 shots by 4, that's 12. Yeah. And you look at the end of the day, you're like, holy fuck, I got beat by 12. Yeah. But it's only like, it's just a little bit every day. Yeah. Like even if you lose a tournament by 8 shots, it's 2 shots every day. It's not very much. But you look back on it afterwards, this guy finished at 8 under, I finished at even. It looks like a big gap. Yeah. And it's really not. It's like,
that's an interesting thing about golf.
It's a putt or a swing per day that separates who the
like you look at let's say basketball, because NBA is in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Say every game of a 7-game series goes to overtime. But if you add all the scores up, one team might have won by 27.
Right, yeah. It's so close. Yeah.
Like, 27-point difference? Oh, that was shitty. That's what golf does, right? Yeah. You add up your 4-day score.
Yeah, exactly.
I lost to this guy by 1 or 2 every day, but I lost by 7, which seems like a big number, right?
It seems like a big, but it's a 3-footer every day. It's like
exactly
really small.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Okay, so also to put it in perspective, this thing is hard, man. So there's 200 people on the Mackenzie Tour, the Canadian Tour. I was looking at the money list last year, not to discourage you in any way, because I think you're going to web.com. 200 people on the Canadian Tour, only 11 made 50 grand or more.
Wow.
11.
Yeah, so I would say the Mackenzie Tour isn't a place. It's not a place where people try to make money. It's a stepping stone.
Yeah.
And you can't. If anyone's like listening that is trying to become a pro golfer, trying to get on the Mac Tour, you need to know it's not somewhere where you're trying to make a lot of money. You're trying to use it as a stepping stone.
Let me ask you this. How do guys fund themselves from like college to if their goal is to play PGA or web.com?
So I'm lucky to have some help from some business people and some other golf companies, but a lot of people that are as talented as me, they don't know the same people, and they either can't play pro after a while because their bank account is way too negative.
Yeah.
Or they just stop altogether. Like
that's the hard thing about golf.
It's just hard. Like you have to, unless you're like the top 10 amateurs in the world where companies are seeking you out to pay you because they just kind of know how good you're going to be, like a Spieth or a Ricky or someone like that. Unless you're getting unless someone's trying to find you and be like, I want to pay for you to play because I know you're going to get there someday. You're going to have to figure out how to live with not a lot of money for a while.
What do guys do? Do they work full-time jobs?
A lot of them work part-time jobs on their week off. A lot of them, because the Mac Tour is it's not a full season, it's like a summer season.
Okay.
They'll play from May until September, and then they'll work, 2 jobs from September to January, and then they'll move to somewhere warm like I do to Arizona for the winter and practice and get prepared. But like, you are not like, you're in some money trouble for a while unless you're one of the like very, very top guys.
It's probably hard to get good at golf if you're working 2 jobs for 8 months of the year.
It's hard. That's why like the money aspect is really important. Yeah. Like I could talk about that for a while for guys that like are very, very talented and have to stop playing because they just can't fund themselves. And it's hard to convince that the hardest thing to do is to convince a sponsor of how good you are when you aren't like on the web or the PGA, because they don't, unless you're into golf, you don't understand how hard it is to get to like that stage. So if you're approaching a sponsor in a meeting with a sponsor and you're like, I'm this close to being on the PGA Tour, I'm this close to the web, I will give you advertising space on my bag, on my hats, on my shirts if you fund me a little bit of money for the season. And they'll be like, well, you know what? You're not, I don't know. How can you convince someone of how good you are if you don't have like status on a tour?
Yeah.
Because a lot of guys are very good, but it's hard to get status somewhere. And I understand it from both sides, being the pro, but also the business. You don't want to give money to someone when you don't like actually believe in what you're giving the money for. Because money, regardless of how much money you have, it's still shitty when you have to give it to someone.
What are those conversations like? Because up until 4 days ago,
so
you didn't have a status.
I didn't have status, and as soon as I got status, I got approached by some companies, and I'll be wearing Titleist gear because Titleist is going to help me out during Mackenzie year. But like, I wasn't like that different. This is good because I wasn't that different a player last year than I am this year. But as soon as they see that you're a PGA Tour member with a card, they're like, you know what, this guy's for real. I'm going to help him out. But for the guys that, and it's just a 1 week at Q School, like it's 4 days of your entire life where it determines like where you're going.
So that's an important thing to note if we haven't yet.
Yeah.
Is that to make the Canadian Tour,
yeah,
there's you're only allowed, there's six tournaments?
There's six different
Q schools.
They call them sites, yeah. So it's 6 different Q schools.
But you're only allowed to go to one.
Yeah.
So you can only play 4 rounds of golf each year to make the Canadian Tour.
Yeah.
So if you have one bad round in those 4, you got to wait a year.
So that's why you keep
you don't even have to have a bad day. Like there's 14, out of 125 guys, right, there's 14 spots for each site. So add that up, 6 times 14, whatever that is. I'm not a great math guy. So I don't know. Times by 120. So it's the smallest amount of guys that get their card. And I was lucky enough to get it this year. And as soon as you get that, your career kind of takes off a little bit. But for the guys that don't make it, like, it's not like they're shitty golfers. They're just, they didn't have it that week. I was literally them the last 3 years.
How many years did you miss it?
This is my third. This is my third try. And I wasn't close the first year. I played better the second year. Ended up not being very close because I had a bad day. And then this year I just played well. But like, it's not like I was that much better of a player. It's just golf. Like, you have bad weeks and you have good weeks. It just kind of depends where it comes out.
Because you've been pro for how many years?
I turned pro in the winter of 2015.
If I remember correctly, you won a shit ton of tournaments on the VGT.
Yeah, when I turned pro
I remember
as
at
a
one
rookie,
point I texted Mike. I hadn't talked to him like a month. I'm like, how's it going? Are you playing well? I knew there was a winter tour in Vancouver Golf Tour, VGT. And he's like, yeah, pretty good. I've won 4 tournaments in a row.
Yeah.
Was it 4? 3 or 4?
My rookie season, I looked it up the other day because I was putting together like a sponsor cover letter with achievements. And I didn't place in the money my first 2 events, and then I won 6 in a row.
6 in a row.
And then I came like 10th in one of them, and then my 7th win, I shot 60 at Kings Links.
Did you hear that, Carl?
A 60.
60.
That's crazy, man.
I was looking up some golf stats today. Curiosity a little bit to see where I place, but also to see where you place. One of the stats one of these articles had was 2% of adult golfers in the world can shoot under 80.
Yeah.
2%.
That's it, eh?
Yeah.
Mike shot 20 shots better than that in a tournament. So, Carl, that is not like Denny plays, fluffing it up.
Oh, yeah.
That's playing it down.
Real rules.
Yeah. And it was in the winter. So you're probably hitting the ball like 10% less
far
than what you usually hit.
It's very humbling to like win, to like turn pro and win 6 events and then like shoot a record like I shot and then be like kind of cold for 2 years. Because it's really hard, really easy to get down on yourself when you're like on a high that quickly when you turn pro and be like, you know what, I can do this. And then you start not winning, and then each tournament gets harder and harder to play well because you're putting more pressure on yourself, and then it just adds up over time.
Okay, a couple things I want to talk to you about in that.
Yeah.
One is like pressure
Yeah.
that you put on yourself going into an event like
Worst
Q
thing you
School.
can
It's
do.
one tournament a year.
Me and my sports guy call it expectation management, which is
Is
like,
that Bryn?
no, it's a different guy in Phoenix. Go on.
Hold on. Let's talk on the other side first.
Yeah.
So in basketball, I always had this term like in the zone.
Yeah.
When you like, it's not even a feeling that you think things are going to go in every time you shoot.
Yeah.
It's no matter what I do, the ball is going in the hoop. It doesn't matter if I'm looking at the hoop or not, it's going in.
That happens in golf. So,
and I can imagine shooting 60 that it's happening.
In golf, it's like when things are going well, like you can make a bad swing and the ball's still going straight, and you hit a bad putt and it still goes in. And then when you get on rough stretches and you're hitting good putts or you're making good swings and you think things are going well, and when it's going good, you'll have a bad day and you'll shoot, 68. And then when things are going bad, you'll think you have a good day and you'll shoot like 75. And it's just it's like a very small part of it is physical, but like 90% of that is mental.
What's that? Okay. I've never really had that. I've had that a couple times in golf maybe, and it's obviously a different level than you, but just hitting the ball in the direction that I want it to go for me every time is really exciting.
Yeah.
But I guess like, what does that in the zone feeling feel like for someone who's very good at golf? Like,
okay, so
let me say this.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this, a really direct question, because that was really open-ended. You are whatever you were what were you on the front there on that 60?
At Kingslings?
Yeah.
32.
Was it 30?
30,
it was 32-28?
32-28.
28 in the back? Was it 36 on the back?
Yeah, it's at par 72, 36-36.
Shot 8 under in the back.
4 under, 8 under.
Okay, so I'm assuming you pick up some speed in the early part of the back nine.
Yeah.
Are you then, are you in a mode where you're like, no matter if it's a red pin, I'm going straight at it?
I was just going to say that. So, when you get in the zone like that, you feel like regardless of what club you have in your hand, it could be a 5-iron or a wedge, the ball is going to go where you want it to go. And it's a sick feeling because it, that comes up, maybe, a guy like me, once every few months. It rarely comes up.
I was going to ask you how often. Once every few months?
In the zone like that? In the zone like that, maybe once a year. But you feel...
Do you know what triggers it?
Not really.
Because in basketball, it's not necessarily it's not necessarily you warm up any different or you literally do anything different, tie your shoes different, wear different socks. I wore different socks on different days. That's why I bring that up. But it's more just I kind of get lucky in the first few minutes of the game. So meaning I shoot a 3 that looks like it's way off and it hits the back rim and bounces in. I'm like, all right, sweet.
Okay, so that's a good point. So here's my story from that day, from 60 at Kings Links.
Yeah.
So first hole, I get up and down for par. Second hole is a little dog leg around some water, and I block my drive and it's going towards the water, and it's like a 300-yard carry, and it lands in the water and skips out.
No way. How have you not told me this?
So if my ball doesn't skip out of the water, I'm hitting 3 off the tee.
Yeah.
And because it's not, I'm playing from 315 yards on a par 5, hitting an 8-iron in instead of re-teeing.
Yeah.
So I made 4 there instead of 8. And then from there, I don't the littlest break ever turned into the best round I've ever had.
So you refer back to that. Was there a change in mindset at that point?
It wasn't a change in mindset. I was just I wasn't okay, I'm going to go shoot a low number now. I was just wow, that was lucky. And then I just played my round normally. But that round never happens if you don't get lucky to start the day.
Can you explain? So you mentioned in a big event like Q School, you're not going at red pins.
Yeah.
But on a day that you're feeling really good, you are going at red pins. So where does that switch happen?
It's a good question. So to start the day on the range, you usually know pretty quick if you're hitting it really well or you kind of need to scrape it around.
Does that translate well?
Because
I feel the opposite.
It can be the opposite a lot of the time.
Yeah.
For me personally, I know after a range session if I'm hitting it where I want to be hitting it, and I kind of adjust my game to that.
Okay.
But I've had days where like it's my worst practice. It's like my worst range session ever, and I'll go out and I'll play great.
Yeah.
I can have days where I'm hitting it awesome on the range. I'll go out and the ball's not going where. It's just a fucking dumb sport.
It's a weird sport. We keep coming back to the same point that explain the game of golf. No one knows how.
Yeah. It's like my buddy,
it's a crapshoot.
John, my buddy, my caddy.
Yeah.
Like we talk about this all the time. Like it's not like you pick another sport. Like you pick basketball. It's not like it's not like you have pregame warm up and your jumper's good and you go into the game and you're just bricking it. Like
that happens to me all the time though.
Does it?
All the time.
Yeah. So it's weird. Like when I play other sports, like if I play basketball, I'm not a casual player, but in high school, like if I had a good warm up where I was shooting well and stuff, like I'd feel pretty confident. But in golf, like if you're like, sometimes practice range translates to the tee and sometimes it doesn't. And it doesn't make any sense why that happens.
I'll give you an example about basketball. When I was at UBC, we had a game at Thompson Rivers University, and is that Kamloops? Kamloops, right?
Kamloops.
In warm-up, I missed one shot in warm-up. Warm-up's like 25 minutes long in university. So I probably took 40 to 50 shots. And it was getting ridiculous. Like, guys on my team were laughing because I just kept going further and further back. And at the end of warm-up, I was shooting threes from like 10, 15 feet outside the three-point line, which is stupid.
Yeah.
I missed one shot in warm-up.
Yeah.
It was dumb. Like I was getting the ball, just like doing these stupid fadeaways, and everything literally went in.
Yeah.
First shot of the game, I remember Josh White drives to his left, draws my defender, kicks to me in the corner, wide open, 2 feet long. Missed the entire hoop. And he looks at me, he's like, what the fuck just happened? Because he was one of the guys that was just laughing at in warm-up because he saw me literally hit everything. It doesn't, and in golf, I feel like that a lot, actually. I feel like there's some days that I go to the range and hit balls for 20 minutes and I'm hitting everything, 80% of my shots exactly where I want it to, and then I shoot 85. And then there's other days where I chunk 3 wedges on the range.
Yeah. And
I shoot 74.
Yeah. I'm
playing amazing and hit every putt, and it's just, anyway, I don't understand golf at all.
Me neither. But so if you compare sports like that, so in golf you're talking about like being in the zone, or basketball being in the zone. Mm-hmm. So say you make your first shot in basketball, you feel good. Make the second one, you make the third one. After a while, you feel like you can't miss. Mm-hmm. And say in golf, you make your first 10-footer, you feel good. Make your second 10-footer, you feel good. And then it feels like you're not going to miss on the greens that day. But it works the exact opposite way. If you miss your first 10-footer, then you miss your second 5-footer, then you miss. It feels like whatever you do, it's just not going in. And I can't speak to you guys in basketball, but I'm sure it's a similar feeling if, you miss your first shot, you miss your second shot, you miss your third shot. It just kind of, the pressure adds up.
That's the difference in a sport like that. Okay, so golf, you have to play the ball from where it goes, right? In basketball, if I miss a couple shots in a row, I would always be like, the next time I get the ball, I'm going to the hoop as hard as I can. I'm going to make a layup,
That's the thing about golf that I think is way different, which is what attracts people, is that maybe it doesn't attract people, does the opposite, but you don't get a second chance. Like you could miss your first 3-pointer in basketball, and next possession you get another shot at it. In golf, you hit a really bad shot that is just there the whole day on your scorecard. Like it's right in front of you.
You know what the best golf line of all time I've heard is? It's from Rick.
From Rick?
Yeah. He said, he's like, you always got to hit your second shot first. Because he's the king of like hitting a drive into the water, putting another ball down immediately, hitting a drive middle of the fairway.
Yeah.
Just always hit your second shot first.
Yeah.
Okay, I think I want to ask this question. I want to see if you have an answer to this question. Is like, is there a turning point in a round where you understand that today you're feeling it?
Is there? That's a good question. And
is is there a switch that happens, or you're just do you consciously
I wouldn't
go
say
through?
it's a switch, but there's a point where you feel like it feels like you're not going to hit the ball offline.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the feeling that you get.
And so your red pin goes like this, right?
It just like your shotgun pattern just gets really, really small for that day. So your bad shot is still really good.
Yeah.
But that doesn't happen often. That's what people don't understand about professional golf. Professional golfers hit bad shots. They're just either smarter about where they're aiming, or their bad shots are just their bad shots just aren't as bad as other people's. Mm-hmm. But we do hit bad shots quite a bit. Just doesn't look like it because of what we're trying to do at the time.
And just like, I know this is getting really technical, and I didn't want to get that technical, but I want to say this anyway.
It's your podcast.
Exactly. It's our podcast, Carl. Club selection and picking a spot to hit is so important. There's so many times in a round of golf where I get penalized because I hit it above the pin, you know? If I just would have taken one club less and hit it 30 feet short of the pin, I make a par. But because I wanted to stick it, I wanted to hit it to 5 feet.
Yeah.
I'm now 10 feet over the pin, and I'm 3-putting because it's straight downhill, you know? There's so many circumstances like that.
Yeah.
What percentage of golf is mental versus physical? Answer this carefully, because you need to be really good physically. You need to practice so much to shoot under par in golf.
I'm going to answer that in I'm going to separate the two. So when you get to my level, like as a pro on a tour, I would say that 90% of the players can do very close to the same thing. Some guys hit it a lot farther and are more physically gifted that way, but there's tons of instances where guys don't hit it as good, but their mental game is way, 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 way better. So they score better. So I would say in professional golf, it's 90% mental, 10% physical, but you have the freaks like DJ and Rory that just hit it better than guys.
Yeah.
But the best player ever, Tiger, I would say that he is by far mentally stronger than anybody. Like, it's just, he doesn't hit it the farthest anymore. He doesn't hit it the straightest, but he
definitely doesn't hit it straight anymore.
No, but he knows how to manage himself, and he can get it around. And then I'll say in terms of guys like your talent, say like a 5-10 cap, it's probably 50-50. Like to get to where I am, it takes the physical part, but once you're there, it's more mental to get to the highest tour.
Yeah.
But to get better where you are, it's more physical than mental. If that makes sense.
Who's a guy on the PGA Tour that is not good physically, but just has a ridiculous mental game, so has stuck around there a while?
Good question. I think a lot of the guys nowadays that hit the ball really short would be the guys that are the strongest mentally.
For whatever reason, Webb Simpson pops into my head.
You seen that guy's golf swing?
It's so ugly.
Absolutely disgusting.
He hits hooks all the time.
Looks bad, sounds bad, just is bad physically. Gets it around, but it's just, he's won the Players. He's won a major.
He won
he's a Ryder Cup
Open
guy. Yeah. It's incredible.
I don't understand him. He's like 5'7". No, maybe he's maybe he's 5'9". I don't know.
I have a book that I read for like mental strength and stuff like that, and one of the quotes was when Zach Johnson won the Masters, the interviewer was asking him, and he started one shot behind Tiger, and he ended up beating Tiger, which is really hard to do, coming from behind and beating Tiger back when Tiger was Tiger. And Zach Johnson was quoted, he's like, hey, my name's Zach Johnson, I'm from Cedar Rapids, Iowa, but I know how good I am. And he just like, no one else knew who he was, but in his mind there was no one that was going to beat him that day. And he was not as physically talented as anybody else, but he knew that if he did what he did, he was going to win at the end of the day.
He's got a stubby little swing too, doesn't he?
He does.
Can we talk about mental game a little bit? Because from an outsider or a spectator of you, I've seen you go from very mediocre to, from my perspective of the final round at Q School, without you knowing I was there.
Yeah.
Very impressive.
Yeah.
What? And that was in like a 3 or 4 year window.
Yeah.
Have you, obviously you've like consciously been aware of it.
I've worked on that stuff as hard as I've worked on like my physical ability.
What are you doing to work on that side?
I see someone for it. We talk about all that stuff. I read a lot more than I used to.
It's like a golf psychologist?
Yeah. It's like a sports psych.
Nice. Okay. And that's helpful?
Super, super, super helpful.
Can you talk about like what you talk about in those meetings?
Yeah.
You can say no.
No, I would love to talk about it. I just gotta figure out where I want to go with it, because it's a lot of topics. But biggest example I can use is that first 3 rounds at Q School, I hit the ball really good, scored this year.
Okay.
4th round, you were there. First 5 holes, I was everywhere.
We're gonna talk about that.
Okay. Should I not talk about it yet?
Yeah, you choose another topic, because that's going to be a good one.
Okay. Where should I go with this then? What's a
like
good
even
spot?
just putting, like mentally, how much is putting is mostly mental.
Putting is mostly mental.
Yeah. Because for someone who hit the ball as well as you did,
yeah,
you went from, again, this is
you can say it. I was
very blunt,
terrible putter
person who is obsessed with getting better.
Yeah.
You were shit.
Yeah, I was.
You're shit.
Yeah.
And the fact, how I knew you were shit is because you just kept switching putters every year.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, he's blaming it on the putter again.
Yeah.
He's got this fucking dorky stick that's like, I think 97 inches high.
I think
it's tucked into his chest now.
I think once I took control of both my like success and failure was when I figured it out mentally. Like, as soon as I accepted responsibility for both like my playing well and my playing poorly, I could like understand why my brain was how it was. Because like whenever I played well, I would congratulate me, and whenever I played poorly back then, it was like, this went wrong, I got unlucky here, I did whatever, and I wasn't doing what I had to actually improve what was going wrong. Make sense?
100%.
Yeah.
All I'm thinking about while you're saying that is one of my favorite Gary Vee quotes ever is, everything is your fault. Yeah. So this is how he explains it, is everything's my fault. I run a company with 1,000 employees. Someone makes a mistake. I hired that person. Yeah. Or I hired the person that hired that person. Yeah. It's my fault. Once you understand that your life is in your control and accountability is on you and no one else, it's such a ridiculously freeing experience.
It's amazing.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
So how did you realize that? Was that sports psych?
That was part sports psych and part myself. Like I got to the point when you go to see a sports psych, you have to be like, if you're not brutally honest with them, you're wasting your money. Like,
just like any cycle.
Just like anything. Like if you go in there and they're like, okay, they'll ask you, what are your strengths in golf? And you'll be like, okay, I drive it well, I hit it well. And they'll be like, what are your weaknesses? And you can either be brutally honest, which is, it's hard to do as a kid sitting next to somebody you don't know and be like, you know what, I'm bad at this, I need to improve at this. And when I first went there, I was like I have a lot of positives, and I didn't really talk about my weaknesses at all, because as soon as you verbalize it, like it's like real. That makes sense. Like
it becomes real.
As soon as you like say it out loud, it becomes real to you. And I think I just kept trying to like push it down, and if I didn't speak about it, it would act like it wasn't a thing. And then I got to the point when I turned pro, and I was like I started seeing how well people putt. I was like, you need to take control of this, or else you're not going to go anywhere. And as soon as I admitted that to myself, I could finally fix it.
You know what's really cool about admitting stuff to yourself?
Yeah.
No one else cares.
No.
Right?
No.
Mike Belle says, "Oh, I'm a worse putter than I should be."
Yeah.
All right, sweet. It's out there. Let's work on that. No one cares.
No.
In your head, you're like, oh, fuck, people are going to think I'm a shit golfer.
100%.
Because I think I'm a bad putter.
Yeah.
Right? It's all in your head.
It's
so
completely
mental.
in your head.
Yeah.
And I think like the two biggest things for my sports psych were like admitting weaknesses, because as soon as you admit them, then you can like come up with a routine to improve it, and then coming up with like an identity statement of who you are as a player. And that's kind of like we did like it's like a 2-line phrase for your identity statement that we used that helped me quite a bit. And that was like, first your first thing is saying what you think you're the best at. And then the second one is like where you want to be in your career. So for a long time, I was just like going through the motions. I'd show up to events, I'd play, I'd be like, whatever. And then as soon as I started doing that, I had a plan, I had goals, I had whatever to get to where I wanted to be. And like my identity statement to start the year was, you hit driver as well as anybody. You belong on the PGA Tour. And as soon as you write something down and you repeat it to yourself, and as soon as you start telling yourself something, you start to believe it, which is why the mental, like the negative stuff and I think that's what people don't understand. The negative and the positive work the same. If you tell yourself all the time, you're a shitty putter, you're a shitty golfer, you believe that. As soon as you have an identity statement that says, you know what, you're a great driver, you're going to be on the PGA Tour, you believe that. Like you can feed off that the same way as telling yourself you're shit. Do you know?
Can I have a question to ask, because this is how I felt when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Are you embarrassed to admit your goals? Were you? I know you're not now.
I'm not now, but
were you?
I don't know. So for me, I don't know if embarrassed is the right word, but
skeptical,
or if it was like what I said before. If I wrote down my goals and I didn't succeed in them, I would feel like a bigger failure than if I didn't say what my goals were.
Yeah.
You know?
Like, let's say you're 17. Were you like really into golf then? When were you really into golf, where you're like in your head?
My third and fourth year of university, I started to take it more seriously.
So let's say you're 21.
Yeah.
You run into someone at a party. They ask you what you do.
Yeah.
You say you're a golfer. They're like, oh, what do you want to do with that? What's your answer? Was it not really sure, I'll figure it out? Or was it like, I'm going to fucking play on the PGA Tour?
It was like half-hearted. It was like, I'm not really sure, I'd love to get to the PGA Tour, but like, I didn't even believe the words I was saying.
Why? Because I think Canada fucking sucks for this.
I think that
everyone in Canada thinks, oh, we're mediocre at everything. Why? And our fallback is, we have 1/10 of the population as the US. That's why we suck.
That's what we always say. It's because we don't have as many people.
Who gives a shit?
Yeah.
We're just born. I need to fucking say this, okay? Like, we're born for mediocrity in Canada, and I'm not putting up with it anymore. Mike and I are fucking putting our foot in the sand right here. We're not.
No.
Neither of us are going to be mediocre, and I suggest that you don't either.
But so this is my whole thing. I used to be more content with not having goals written out and being okay if I didn't reach the goals that I came up with in my head, if I had any. And now I feel much better about myself saying, this is my goal. If I get there, awesome. If I don't get there, I went for it. Instead of like half-assing it and looking back in fucking like 40 years being like, you half-assed your entire career. Like, I'd rather go for it with a goal in mind and not get there and like be happy with myself than being like, you know what? Like, you were never going to make it with the mindset you had to begin with.
That was my crutch too.
Yeah.
My crutch was, I had big goals in my head.
Yeah.
And when people asked me what my goals were, or you know, when you go to the stupid provincial team camps and they're like, you need to write things down, let's do some goal setting bullshit. In my head, it was always like, this is bullshit. My goals are in my head. But until you like express them, it's different. So like my outlet for this type of thing in the last few years has been Instagram.
Yeah.
If I say it on there, people now know about it.
Yeah.
Right? Rather than in my head. Like one of the goals this year was to work out or run or both every single day, 365 days for 2019. If I put it in my head and I wake up hungover one morning, I'm like, fuck, I'm not going to run today. But I've said it on Instagram and on the podcast multiple times, so I have to do it. It's the same thing, right?
And I think that it's such a simple thing to write something down, but it's so important because it's right there in front of you. And if you have like if you have something physical in front of you reminding you of that every single time. So I told Nicole a story the other day. Nicole's my girlfriend, for anyone who doesn't know.
Nicole is an absolute sweetheart.
Yeah, she's a unicorn. So I told her, and I didn't tell anyone this, at the start of January of 2019, I sat down with myself and I was like, this is what you need to do to get where you want to go. And for me to do that, I wrote down goals, and then this weird thing happened where for some reason I can never remember my passwords for anything. So I have to go through the process of resetting everything. But every time I reset a password, my reset password would be like Mike Belle is a tour guy in 2019. Like my password would be like an identity statement. So every time I had to log into something, it would remind me of where I wanted to go. And it like really helped me like being more positive in my career. It's like, it's fucking stupid.
No,
but
it's amazing.
But like it helped me like just having it there saying, you know what? And it was like after a while I started to like believe it because you see it all the time.
Okay, I do like your reason for that, but there's a solution for password loss. It's called LastPass.
LastPass?
Yes. It's a website or app or something, I don't know, where you literally, so you only need to remember one password.
Yeah.
You need to remember your LastPass password. So basically, LastPass is a program where you have all your shit. So you have your email, your online banking, you have your Shaw, everything in there with your email, password, automatically puts it into, when you type in rbc.com or royalbank.com, banking, whatever, automatically auto-populates your username and password. You need to remember your LastPass password.
My LastPass password.
So just put that as like Masters winner 2021.
No, it's just something stupid and silly, but like you see it all the time.
Yeah.
And it helps.
I like that.
Yeah.
Okay, I want to come back to pressure. We talked a little bit about the other side. How much pressure, I guess, how do you avoid putting pressure on yourself in such a crazy event like a Q School where you have one 4-day tournament per year to make the next step in your career? Because that is really difficult to put back into like a business world scenario. A lot of sports, I think, translates to business. This is different.
So in the last couple Q schools I went to, it was like a do or die thing for me. And golf's hard to begin with. And as soon as you make golf like a do or die thing on every shot, it's impossible. And the best advice I got this year from my sports psych and a couple other pros was that Q school is just 1 week and it doesn't define you as a person or as a golfer. And I try to tell myself that all the time. So anyone can play good for like a 1 week stretch. Everyone can play bad for a 1 week stretch. But you have to try to separate the fact that Q school doesn't like it. It says if you get through Q school, it says you're a PGA Tour member and it's important. But you have to try to separate the fact that it doesn't define you. Like it doesn't show how good of a golfer you are or how bad you are as a golfer. It's just a 1 week tournament. Mm-hmm. But you have to, and I don't know how I did it or if I even did it, but this year it was just easier for me to separate the fact that it's just a 1 week tournament. I'm going to let it play where it does. And if I get through, I get through. If I don't, I don't. But I definitely put less pressure on myself, but it's hard to it's super, super hard to tell yourself it's just another week when that 1 week determines your career arc for the year or for your life.
It literally determines the next 12 months.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy. I guess if you go to a business scenario, you could say it's that one interview or that...
It's the one interview or like the one business meeting that you're trying to lock down like a super client or whatever.
But a lot of the business world, you don't know it's happening. Yeah. So you don't feel that pressure, right?
And it's not like it's pressure for the week at Q School. You're practicing. It's not the 4 days you practice. You're practicing from January 1st until May 1st. You're practicing for Q School. If you get through, you're on PGA Tour. And if you don't, from May 5th until May 1st of next year, all your practices is for Q School. So year after year after year, if you keep doing it, it's harder and harder and harder.
Yeah.
And although it's harder and harder, you have to tell yourself that it doesn't define who you are. But it's hard. It's fucking like, I don't know if I'm rambling. Does this all make sense?
100%.
Okay.
Honestly, thinking about it from your perspective is terrifying.
Yeah, it's really...
Like if I had one house to sell or one listing appointment to get, and if I don't get it, I can't work again for a year.
Yeah.
There's a shit ton of pressure in that.
But then going into that sales meeting, you can't be like fucking jittery or like freak out the client, because then you're definitely not going to get it.
But that's the thing I'm saying is that for me, I never know that would be happening. No. Like going into a meeting, I never know that this is a client who for the next 15 years is going to buy and sell 7 times. Yeah. Also is going to refer me 12 of their friends. I never know that, right? I think it's one specific client, one specific deal.
Yeah.
For you, it's like this 1 week, these 4 days could either change my life for the better or make me go into a downward depression.
Oh yeah. And in the past, after Q School, the last few years, I've been like I've left Q School missing my card by like 10 shots and be like, you need to quit. Like, you're not good enough. You need to quit. And then luckily I've had like a good like team behind me being like, you know what, it's 1 week. You didn't play well this week. You got to keep at it. But like if I didn't have people behind me being like, you should keep at this, it's a whole different story. And some people that do what I do don't have that team. So they turn Q School into this like do or die scenario. And it's nice that we're on a pod with someone who plays golf, because you know how hard golf is, but golf is a fucking joke. It is way too hard if you put like a life or death scenario on every shot. Like even tapping in a fucking 2-footer, if you're like, oh my God, I need to make this or else I'm not employed.
Well, okay. Coming back to an amateur golfer, like let's say I have a 4-footer for birdie.
Yeah.
Versus a 4-footer for double.
Yeah.
I walk up to the 4-footer for double. I'm pissed off. I hit it as hard as I can. It goes in the back of the hole.
Yeah.
The 4-footer for birdie, I'm looking at it from both sides of the hole. I'm taking 4 or 5 minutes.
Because there's consequence in your head if you miss the 4-footer for birdie.
Exactly.
There's no consequence if you miss putt for double.
I'm taking the double anyway.
There's a consequence at there's a consequence for Q School for every single shot.
Exactly.
And I think I had 268 shots at Q School, I think. So if you put pressure on 268 shots, you're probably not going to have 268 shots. You're going to have 300. It's a different animal than, and I've played a lot of tournament golf and big tournaments, and nothing rivals like the feeling at Q School.
I want to express how excited I am.
Yeah.
And you just gave me some golf credibility, so I feel like I'm allowed to say this now at this point in the podcast. I was saving this for a while. You hit the ball better than anyone I've ever seen live. And a lot of guys that I see on TV, and I watch a shit ton of golf. For an amateur golfer, I watch more golf than most people.
Yeah.
More than I care to admit. I'll go home at night after work, Carl, at 9 p.m. and watch Golf Channel for 2 hours. Why?
Really?
I'm obsessed. It's fucking fun. And I hate shooting 82. I am so excited for you that you've made this progress in the last few years. I'm so excited that you seem like you're in a phenomenal place mentally. And it's gone from like, oh shit, I hope I don't screw up, to I'm going to murder you.
Yeah.
Like, or I guess golf is a bit, it's individual. It's more like, I'm going to play well today, rather than like, I hope I don't hit a bad shot.
More like it's more like I'm gonna beat the golf course, like as opposed to I'm gonna beat this person. Unless it's match play where it's like 1v1, it's like, okay, I'm gonna do what I can do to, like, you know.
There's so many mental things in golf. That's one of the other ones. Like in the final round, he's playing with 2 other guys, so there's 3 guys in a group. The other 2 guys mean nothing, but you have to like somewhat
you
pay
still
attention
care,
to them,
because
right?
those 2 guys could take up 2 of the spots that you're trying to get for your card.
Right.
But if you like, we're still going to talk about the Q school stuff?
We're getting there.
So I got some good stuff on that.
Okay. Should we go there now?
We could. Yeah. Because what direction you want to go?
Because they're on the second hole, one guy in his group, who I think was tied with you at the end of the second day, or at the end of the third day.
So
he holes out from 130 to make eagle on number 2.
Yeah.
It's dumb, right? It's just a fluke shot. He had a great shot, but it's a fluke that it goes in the hole.
Yeah, 100% is. But so I talked about this with my parents after I got my card. My emotions.
Hold on, say that one more time.
What?
After you got your what?
After I got my card?
Yes.
So my emotions after 5 holes versus the guy I was playing with after 5 holes, vastly different. He was 5 under through 5.
Were you tied with him at the end?
I was tied at the end of the 3rd round.
Okay.
And then after 5 holes, I was losing him by 8.
So let's set the stage.
And
a
you
little
can't
bit.
compare yourself to someone else, because you shouldn't compare yourself to someone else, because then you just get more and more in your head.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you're like, holy fuck, like the course isn't that hard. He's fucking 5 under, I'm 3 over. Like, what am I doing? And then that's just, I don't know.
It was hard for you. Think about how hard it was for me
to watch. Yeah.
Okay, so let's set the stage a little bit. Mike, it's a 4-day tournament at Q School. Mike is T6 going into the final round on Friday. 14 guys get Canadian Tour cards. Alex and I, good friend Alex, decide to go over and not tell Mike, who's on the island.
Love you, Alex. Talk shit about you, but I love you.
We decided to go over, but we don't want to tell Mike we're coming because we don't want to fuck with him. So we want him to crush it. If we're there, I don't know if it's going to boost him and make him excited and play better, or make him more nervous. So we decide not to do anything so that it's even. And this is literally our goal going into the day. If he played shitty and wasn't going to get a tour card, we were going to leave.
Not tell him.
Not tell him we were there. Send him a text that night, be like, hey buddy, tough day, whatever. And if he did make it, we were just going to show up on the 18th green. My idea was to tackle him, like just to run onto the green. But seeing there was a few people around the 18th green, and it was a fairly professional tournament. Like it was
Security.
It held some importance. I thought that wouldn't be that good, especially if like he had a ball mark down and I tackled him and his foot hit the ball mark and moved. I didn't want to be that guy. So we waited till anyway. So the stage is set. Alex and I are there, hiding in bushes throughout the entire round.
Yeah.
First tee shot looked pretty good from where I was, with my head poking out behind a tree.
It was a good shot.
Just into
Just
the rough.
in the rough, yeah.
I guess let's skip to like the first 5. Let's talk about the first, because the first 5.
Yeah, I'll give it.
The first
quick,
5 and the last
summary.
13 was vastly different.
Very, very different. So, last day of Q school, you're in a spot to. I'm not gonna say it's harder being in a spot that you're already gonna get a card versus outside, but maybe if you're outside, you feel like you're not losing anything if you play shitty, you know, like versus me, if you play shitty, you're like, oh, I was right there and then I played bad the last day, like I choked.
Hold on, can we explore that a little bit? So you're in a spot. What's the night before sleep like? What's the morning of like? Because your tee time was 1:20.
So my I don't sleep very good to begin with, and I slept terrible that night. Like terrible. I woke up a bunch of times during the night, got like a few hours sleep, and then the worst time for me to get nervous was like from 7 a.m. waiting till like noon to get to the course.
Yeah.
Because you have to have like a regular day to treat it like any other day. But like I just tried to watch Netflix and like Planet Earth and all this stuff to like relax me. But I'm watching Planet Earth, and at one point I'm like looking at these penguins waddling around. I'm just like staring at the ground. I'm like staring at the penguins, and I'm seeing the penguins, and in my back of my mind I'm like, don't fuck up this Q school. And I'm like sitting there watching TV on my computer, but the only thing in the back of my head was like, I just thought about the worst, I thought about the worst thing that could go wrong, and then I'd catch myself thinking about the worst thing and try to switch to something positive. And then something negative would come up, and it's sort of, and 5 hours is a long fucking time when you're like thinking about stuff like that. So,
do you have any things that you've learned in the last few years of like how to switch your brain mentally from those thoughts?
I'm still trying to work on that with my sports psych, because after the first tee shot, my body's like, I'm pretty calm, but it's the time before, like when you wake up to the time you tee off, where your brain kind of races. That's the hardest to switch off. And before, my mind would race to something negative and I wouldn't be able to recognize it and turn it. And now I can recognize pretty quick when something negative comes in and try to switch it off. And the best way getting a little psychological with it is, the best way for me to do it is to picture like a TV in my head with the negative thing on that, and for me to sit on the side with like a remote and change the channel remotely in my brain.
Interesting.
And there's a few different ways to do it. Like that way is more effective for me because I can visually do it. Like if I can see the negative thought on the TV and then I can switch the channel off, or like you can be like by the lake and have like the negative thought like on a boat, like flowing away, and something positive coming towards you. There's a few different ways to do it, but the way I do it seems to help me.
Is there any way to stop even seeing the negative thought?
There is for the guys that are the best at it. I haven't gotten there yet. But from where I used to be 4 years ago to where I am now, I'm very happy with. But it's just a grind to get better at the mental thing. The physical thing is way easier because you can see the process happening in front of you. The mental thing you can't really work on, or you know where your progress is until you're in another scenario that is very, very stressful and you have to try to work through it.
Now you get those opportunities, right?
Now I get those opportunities on tour. Yeah,
but
exactly.
Fuck, how do you get better at it if you only get one chance per year, right?
So
that's
it's
insane.
It's hard to get better at. The hardest thing to work on your mental side is when your body doesn't feel the stresses that it does in those situations, and you're working on the mental side, but you don't have the sweats, you don't have like the jitters in your stomach or whatever. So your body's reacting differently. So like I can go work on my mental game tonight in my room, but like I don't feel how I did before Q school.
Yeah.
So
leading up to the first tee, how many times does that happen? How many times does a negative thought come in and you're pushing it out with?
It happens a lot in the morning when you get to the range. For me, it gets lower and lower, and then when they announce your name, the most important thing you can do is like go through your routine. For me, it's like quick visualization of where I want the ball to go, quick little rehearsal swing of what I want to feel, and then I'll try to pull the trigger. And I won't pull the trigger if like my visualization is the ball going sideways. I'll try to stick with it until I can see like the outcome that I want.
Do you like going first, second, or third? Spot like that.
I like the honor. I like going first.
Yeah. You
my
teed off third in that round.
I did. The reason I like going first is because if the first two people in front of you hit bad shots, that is in your mind.
Yeah.
So I like being able to.
How do you switch that though to? Oh fuck! I'm so much better than these idiots.
It's hard.
It's hard
because you're not better than them. They're they literally shot the exact same scores as you the first 3 days.
Can I admit something that I've never admitted before?
Yeah.
And I don't know why I just thought of it right now. When I was probably in grade 9, 10, maybe 8 or 9, I was at some camps and I knew I was the young kid there, summer camps. And maybe it was grade 9. So grade 8, I had gone to these camps that are like 8 to 12. So I'm playing against grade 12s and I'm 12 and they're 17 and I'm quite a bit smaller than them.
Yeah.
And I sucked. But grade 9 going in, I wore a wristband on my left arm. And every day before camp, I would write T-Mac. So like Tracy McGrady.
Yeah.
Tracy McGrady on a piece of tape and put it inside the wristband.
Yeah.
So if I got this like nervous feeling or like, oh shit, what am I doing here? These guys are way better than me. I would like look at the T-Mac and be like, fuck, I'm just as good.
Yeah, that's so.
It's just some weird thing mentally that you do. Hey?
When I was a junior, like growing up, on my golf ball, I would write the initials like TW.
Yeah.
So when
exactly.
So when I put the ball in the tee, I'd see that, and then it's very similar to what you did. You just try to almost trick your brain kind of thing.
Totally.
Yeah.
Is that it? Is it just tricking or is it training?
I think it's both.
Yeah.
I think I don't think tricking your brain is that much of a bad thing though, because if you trick it enough, eventually it'll just start to believe what you're doing to it.
But then it's training.
Exactly. So that's what I mean. Yeah.
It's a weird. Did you ever do anything like that?
Yeah.
I was a really weird kid.
Like, what was the biggest basketball game you ever played in?
Oh, probably against VC at home somewhere. Yeah.
Is there any negative things that come to your mind? Like, what if I go 0 for 10?
Of course, like the entire time before the game, you're just nervous, right? You're just thinking about the worst situation that can happen.
Yeah.
But then you got to convince yourself that it's like even the worst situation is not that bad.
Exactly.
No one cares, man.
Exactly.
I lived the worst situations twice.
I think you told me about one of them.
2 times.
Yeah. And the best part with this is that I think either you or Alex said you can either take those situations in one of 2 ways. Like you can let it make you better, or you can let it like destroy you.
Yeah.
So you can talk
specifically in sport I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
So I played in 2 national finals.
There you go. This one.
I was the best player in the tournament for the second one.
Yeah.
In the first one, I was not, but I was still an all-star. In the first one, I think I scored 6 points and I was probably averaging like 15.
Yeah.
We lost by 4. Did we lose by 4 in U15?
It was close, yeah.
It's on
fucking Ontario. Yeah.
In U17, I was the best player in the tournament. I was probably averaging like 22 or 24.
Yeah.
And I scored 0 in the national final. It didn't make any sense. We played Ontario. And in the first game against Ontario, I had 22 and held their best player to 2.
Yeah.
In the final, it was just like a weird game and didn't score.
Yeah, so you can take that. I think you explained it. The 2 ways that you can either let that like break you, or you can use it as a ladder. So
use this fuel.
Use it as fuel.
I'm 30. We were 17. That was 13 years ago. I'm still using it.
Yeah.
Right? Even I'm talking about it, my eyes are watering, right?
Yeah.
So it's still like this crazy pain that I feel.
Yeah.
But either you dig yourself a hole and
that was like my
fly
situation,
away, or you just keep using it to keep getting better.
Totally. In the BCM in 2014, it's the biggest amateur golf tournament in BC. Mm-hmm. I was leading for the entire tournament, and I bogeyed like 2 of my last 3, and the guy behind me birdied 2 of his last 3, so he made up 4 shots and tied me. And we were on our 5th playoff hole, and I missed a putt that was like, I don't know, a couple feet long. And I was like I was like very nervous over that, and I still use that to this day. Like I tell myself, like I never want to feel like I did over that putt again. So you just work at it. Like you work and work and work and work. So when you get into that situation again, you don't have those same feelings.
You know, the cool thing about these moments is that we remember them so specifically.
It's so
like
it's
you
so
remember
it's so vivid.
Yeah.
I can remember everyone watching me on the playoff. I can remember how I felt after missing. I can remember the interview after, how shitty I felt. I can remember fucking seeing the guy that beat me and being like, wow, that should be me. Like, and you just like you either let it affect you negatively or you use it as like fuel. Yeah.
It's cool to look at it from like an outsider's perspective though, and no one else cares, right?
No.
Like no one in the golf world
but
remembers
you
that
think
for
that
you.
you think that other people are judging you for it. Especially as a kid, like I'm sure after that, when you scored 0, you were like, holy fuck, everyone probably thinks like I'm sure you had so many negative thoughts towards yourself.
I thought it ruined my chance at playing in the States.
Yeah.
Over just one game, eh?
One game. But it's like life. It's like life or death.
It goes through your mind, right? Like all these coaches are thinking, how is this kid going to do in a pressure situation?
Yeah.
They're going to look at this one game, and they're going to be like, he sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, okay, let's talk about your pressure situation.
Yeah. So
You're on the first tee.
We're on the first tee.
The first 5 holes were not good.
No, they weren't good. I played the 10th hole. I played my first hole. I teed off on the 10th hole. So I played the first hole. I played it fine, made a stupid bogey. So I was like, and you never want to bogey a par 5. That's kind of easy because you're losing. Most guys are making birdie. You made bogey, so you already feel like. And then part of the next 2, made a bogey on the easiest par 4 on the course. Go to the next hole, make another bogey, and at that point already in your head, you're like, I've already lost my chance. And like my caddy John gave me like a little thing, like you know, like a pump up, like let's go, like there's still.
What did he say?
He just said you're fine. There's a bunch of holes left, which is like all you need is someone there to like kind of change your thinking just a little bit. Because I knew the number to get my card was going to be like 7 or 8 under, and I started at 8, and after the first 5 holes, I was back to 5.
Yeah.
And then the next hole was a par 5 with OB on both sides, but it was kind of short. So if you hit a good drive, you'd have a good chance at birdie. I took out driver after not hitting it great the first 2 holes, hit a good drive, hit it on the green, made like a 15-20 footer for eagle. And my mood,
let's backtrack a second.
Yeah.
So after 5 holes, Alex and I, you don't know we're there. We're in a bush somewhere on the 5th hole on the fairway. Alex is so going into the day. We're driving over there. It's like an hour and a half from the ferry. On the way over, I say, Alex, what do you think Mike's going to do today? What do you think his chances are, or what do you think is going to happen? And his response was, as long as he doesn't blow his brains out, he's gonna make the tour.
Yeah.
And so after 5 holes, I look at Alex and this is my exact comment was, I think this is the best thing that ever happened to Mike.
Yeah.
I think it switched his mindset into being like ultra conservative, just try to shoot par.
Trying to not make a mistake.
Yeah. And make it by a stroke versus like, oh shit, now I need to be aggressive where I'm actually good at golf.
Yeah.
When I'm playing aggressively.
And that's the thing
did you feel that happen? I guess if you're outside the cut line in your head, you automatically assume you have to be aggressive.
You automatically assume that, but like I guess I somehow switched from like a really angry, like upset feeling that I already moved myself outside the number to a fact like you still have a chance to get your card on the back 9 of like the last day, which is really all that you want going into Q school.
Yeah.
And in the past, if I bogeyed 3 of the first 5, I would have just like not packed it in, but my mind would have been in the right spot. And that day I just kind of I switched it somehow to being like, you know what, you need, if you play these last 12 holes a few under, which you've done a million times before, you'll have your PGA Tour card for the year.
On the tee box on 6,
yeah,
You're 3 over through 5.
Yeah.
You haven't really hit a good shot yet.
No.
He had a couple really bad shots.
Terrible shots. Yeah.
On the tee, what's your thought process like? Are you like...
My thought process without John there or something would have been like just to play it safe. And every other day before that, I hit driver, like taking on the dog leg, trying to hit a good shot.
Mm-hmm.
And John was like, no, we're sticking to the same strategy. You've hit a good shot here every day. And I went up there and I hit a good one. And it, like, as soon as I hit that one and it was good, it calmed me down. Because when things are going sideways like that, you just need one thing to kind of level you off.
What club did you have in on that?
I hit 8-iron in.
It's tough life having an 8-iron into par 5, Carl.
And like I knew if I could get through that, like if I could get through the back 9, like I was 3 over, if I could get back to like 1 over even, I would be okay going to the front because I'd score well in the front all week. But it's hard to, like, the hardest thing is to switch your mind from when you're playing shitty to being like, you know what, those are just bad shots. Bad shots happen. You can get through it. Like, it's just like a random, it's almost saying to yourself that it's a random occurrence that you hit a bunch of bad shots in a row and you're still a good player, to saying you've hit a bunch of bad shots in a row, you're going to hit it bad for the rest of the day.
Yeah.
That was the turning point.
Is it cool to look back now and, like, even just a few days later, see how different your thought process was 2 or 3 years ago versus last week?
I'm almost more happy. I'm almost happier with myself playing really shitty to start and really good to finish, like being able to switch my mind from negative to positive, than going into that day and like shooting. I shot 2 under, so I was happier being like 3 over and playing the last 11, like 12, 5 under, than just shooting like 2 under bogey free, because I kind of like proved something to myself that I could get through a little bit of adversity.
100%.
So
and that is the type of shit that you remember forever, right?
Yeah, I totally agree.
Like if you're on the web.com and you have to shoot 3 under to make the cut or get a PGA card. That is extreme pressure. It's insane. It's nothing like you've ever felt before, but you're going to look back and you're going to be like, oh, I was 3 over before and I did it. So I'm going to do it again.
Totally. And like going into the last day, like people have told me like what the feeling is like walking up the last hole knowing you're going to have a card. And when I was 3 over early, I was like, I'm not going to have like the walk, like the stress-free walk going up to 18, because I'm going to be like right by the Q school number. And then like somehow I played the last 5 under. And when I got to the 9th hole, like after I got that drive and play, I was so like, that walk was like incredible. And then I saw you and Alex on the green and I like did a double take. I was like, it's like, what? It's like, and I said to you, I was like, did you guys just get here?
Yeah.
And they're like, no, we've been videoing you the whole day.
I have Instagram stories to prove it.
Oh, we saw. Yeah.
Okay. Number 6. We need to spend more time on number 6 because that was a big turning point for me.
Yeah.
You hit an 8-iron to like 20 feet.
Yeah.
Par 5. You have like a 20-foot eagle putt. What's your confidence level over that putt?
It was good. Like,
yeah.
I was.
Because for people who were not there, and there was no one there other than me and Alex.
Yeah.
You'd missed 3 putts inside 8 feet?
Missed 2 putts.
2 putts.
Yeah. 2 putts inside 8 feet. But I told myself, the thing that I kept telling myself is that, so I have I get technical. I have my percentage of makes from like 8 feet or whatever, which is, my 8 feet make percentage is like 55%. So 1 out of every 2, basically.
Yeah.
And I missed 2 to start the day. And I was like, and I told myself, I was like, okay, you missed 2 to start the day. That means you're going to make your next 2. It's like in basketball. If you know you're a 50% field goal shooter, you miss your first 4, you got to somehow tell yourself, I missed my first 4. I'm going to make the next 4. And it's just averages. So they're going to work out eventually, but it's hard to convince yourself that that's going to happen.
Yeah. Are you sure you didn't hear me after that putt went in?
swear to God, I did not know you guys were there.
I had a pretty good view.
Yeah.
It was in between a couple trees, but I videotaped this one too, Carl. And I looked at Alex. I was like, if he makes this, it's not even going to be close to the cut line. He's going to play well. And he makes it, of course.
Yeah.
And I literally wanted to yell, and I had to push myself to stop yelling.
You had like a little internal scream, right? Yeah. That was good.
And so I had the video like this, looking at you make the putt. I look over at Alex, and he did the exact same thing. He's like,
yeah, that was as soon as that putt went in, I was really calm for the rest of the day.
Can you explain that feeling afterwards?
When that goes in?
Because from my perspective as a spectator, standing 50 to 70 yards back from every shot that you hit, so I didn't have the best angle, but I had good angles. You hit one bad shot for the rest of the day.
Yeah.
It was your tee shot on 10.
Yeah.
But literally everything else that I saw was exactly where you wanted to hit it.
When I was 3 over through 5, my thought process for like a good 10 minutes after that point wasn't like you're not going to get your full card. It was like you're not even going to get your conditional card, which is like top 40. So I went from like the highest felt like I could feel to like you suck. And then the putt went in, and I was like, it's like I really I needed it. I wouldn't say it was lucky it went in, but like it definitely like calmed me down for the rest of the day.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just need something to go your way when everything's kind of working against you.
Even if you make a birdie there,
even if you make a birdie, you're still sitting there and you're like,
because you're 2 putting from 20 feet, you're like,
yeah, that's not anything special.
Exactly.
But when you make eagle, you're like, yeah, that was big.
Yeah. Because then he steps up to the next hole, and it's a par 3 that was like, I don't know, 160,
175, yeah.
Okay. Over the water.
Tucked
to
pin.
8 feet.
Yeah.
And both his buddies hit it way over there.
Here's what I can say about that hole. So it's basically it's like
not
a
an appealing visually.
It's like
hole.
a half island green.
Yeah.
So the entire front of it and entire left side is water, and the pin is tucked front left.
Yeah.
So right over the water with the water on the left, and the shot into that hole gets a lot fucking easier if you're 1 over as opposed to 3 over.
100%.
So you don't want to go into that hole being 3 over, being like, holy fuck, if I hit in the water here, I'm 5 over.
Yeah.
And when you make the eagle putt, you're like, okay, now I have a couple more shots to spare for the rest of the day. So it was big. I was not looking forward to that par 3 when I was 3 over.
What? Again, from my perspective, you hit every shot exactly where you needed to for the rest of the day, other than that
tee shot. Yeah.
Was there any really stressful shots for you for the rest of the day?
The most stressful shot for me the rest of the day was the drive on the 5th hole, my 14th hole, which is the one with the water.
On the right.
Yeah. So as soon as if you hit in the water there, you're making bogey basically automatically. But if you hit driver and you get it in play, it's basically a birdie hole.
Yeah.
And I knew as soon as I got that drive in play, I didn't want to like celebrate a little bit, get ahead of myself, but I was like, you know what, like you got this, like you're gonna get through this.
Okay. You're finding, let's just point this out.
Yeah.
You're finding out now that I really like talking about the mental side of things.
Yeah.
Regardless of what it is. So you hit a bad tee shot on 10.
Yeah.
Carl, this is ridiculous. You're behind a tree. You take a drop because you're like right against the car path.
Yeah.
Right? He was probably, let's say 6 to 8 feet from going OB, out of bounds. So he's this far from going out of bounds. If his ball's out of bounds, He's re-teeing. So he's re-teeing 3. Did you hit a bad shot there? What happened on the tee? Because I didn't really see it.
So I'm particularly a player that plays like a right to left ball flight, like a little fade for me, and that hole moves hard from from left to right.
Yeah.
So I'm uncomfortable on that tee to start with.
Do you try to hit a draw?
I tried to hit, my normal shot shape was just a fade, and I just pulled it. So I was aimed right, and it went more right.
So it's behind a tree on a par 5. What was your distance in?
180, yeah.
So again, I'm 50 yards back. I can see this ridiculous shot shape. Think Bubba Watson,
2013, 14? Yeah, somewhere in there.
Playoff hole in the Masters. Carl has no idea what I'm talking about. Some of you will. Playoff hole against Louis? I think it was against Louis that year.
I think it was Louis.
Anyways.
Yeah, it was Louis.
The reason I bring up Bubba is because he's also a lefty.
Yeah.
Tugs it into the woods on the right. Second shot hits this like stupid 60-yard hook.
Yeah.
Around a tree.
It's actually very similar to
like
that.
8. Exactly.
From the pine straw too.
Super similar.
Yeah.
So Mike's on the pine straw.
Yeah.
Behind a tree. And as soon as you hit the shot, you start walking up. Me and Al, I'm like, Alex, let's go look at his divot. So we literally run up and look at his divot. His divot was aimed 50 yards left of where he hit the ball. So he hit a shot that just like had a huge hook. But on the other side, if he doesn't hit this crazy hook, it's OB. So like, how confident are you going into a shot like that? If it doesn't hook as much as you want, you're either behind a tree or
if
OB.
it doesn't hook, that was probably the par 5 I made eagles a turning point, but that was also a turning point because I was either going to make double there or birdie.
Yeah.
So it was a 3-shot swing. And I pulled it off. But
it was ridiculous.
John and I were talking about it, and we were hesitant to should we chip this out and just try to make par, or should we go for it? And I was like, no, I can pull this off. And we did. And it was like, okay, let's go.
Okay. Again, as a friend and a spectator, I'm so pumped that you have the confidence now to hit a stupid shot like that.
Yeah.
'Cause that was a dumb shot.
It was dumb, but I also...
Let's say you have that shot 100 times. How many times do you hit it to where you hit it? 3?
No, like a quarter.
Really?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
I'm bringing you back there this weekend. We're going to go hit.
No, I can pull that off. But
25 times? No way.
I could pull that off, but it wouldn't have ended up in it ended up in like the perfect spot for me to hit my next shot for.
Yeah.
I would have pulled it off a lot of times for it not to go out of bounds, but it ended up in the perfect spot.
Sure. How many times to hit it to where you hit it though? That's what I was saying.
Not very many.
3.
Like 5 to 10 out of 100.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know okay. I agree with the 25 that wasn't going OB.
Yeah.
But looking at a tournament where you're trying to qualify for Q School, you're maybe a stroke or 2 ahead of the number at the time.
No, I was at 7, so I was like right on it.
On it.
And that's a hole where you have to score on because the rest of the front nine's kind of hard. So I was like,
so you're on the number.
Yeah.
And there's a shot that you have 25% chance of not hitting it OB.
Yeah.
Unreal.
Yeah.
So there's one old dude, I don't know if you saw this, that saw you hit that shot.
Yeah.
And he was walking back to the clubhouse as me and Alex were walking up to see your divot. And he's like, "Are you guys following Michael Belle?" And we're like, "Yeah." He's like, "Did you guys see that shot?" And we're like, "Yeah, but we were back there. It looked like he hit a huge hook." He's like, "He hooked that thing 50 yards and it ended up on the green." So we run up and see your divot, and your divot was like
sideways. Yeah.
It's like a 45-degree angle, and the pin's over here. That was a crazy shot. Anyway, regardless, the back nine.
You need some good things to happen to you at Q School. That was one of them.
Yeah. That fucking skip out of the water that you were talking about. What tournament was that?
That was at Kings Links.
Oh yeah, that was a 60.
That was a 60, yeah.
Golf is a weird sport.
Sometimes you need good. If you're shooting a really low number, there's a very good chance that something happened to you during the day, like in the round, that that probably shouldn't have happened. Like you made 100-foot putt, or like your ball hit a tree and bounced back into the fairway. Like something went your way.
Yeah. So Mike continues to shoot 3 under on the back. Had 4 birdies on the back.
Yeah.
1 bad bogey.
1 bogey.
What would you bogey?
6. The dog leg right up the hill. I hit it left, kind of behind a tree. Tried to go over the tree. Hit the tree.
That's right.
Yeah.
What were you trying to do on that second shot?
I just tried to go over the tree and hit it thin.
Yeah.
And then once that happened, I could have like tried to hit a hero shot and try to make par, and just said, I'm going to hit it to 20 feet and try to make par if I don't want to make bogey.
Yeah.
But in the past, I probably would have tried to make par, but was like, just took my medicine, like was inside the number at that point after another birdie on the par 5, and was like, okay, just make bogey here and then play the last few even par or 1 over and you're okay.
A birdie on 17 gave a little bit of stress relief, eh? Or on 8.
Birdie on 17 was like, that is the best memory I have putting ever.
How long was that putt?
That was probably...
Was it just on the
It
fringe?
was probably 15 feet on the fringe.
Yeah.
But it was kind of it was like a weird lie. It was right on the edge of the rough. You see my fist pump and a little celebration.
Absolutely,
there?
I did.
Like I kind of knew how much that was worth in terms of like calming me down for the last hole.
Yeah.
Because the last hole, a few things can go wrong with the forest there on the left and right.
Yeah.
And as soon as that went in, I knew I had a few shots to spare.
Yeah.
But like I've
seen Mike show negative emotion quite a few times.
Yeah.
I've rarely seen Mike show positive emotion, like really excitement. I was in a good fist pump.
Yeah. I was, that's like something I look back on whenever I'm like a little nervous to give me some positive vibes. That was pretty special for me.
You got your walk up the 18th.
Dude, when I was 3 over, there was not one second where I thought I was going to have like a stress-free walk up 18. I thought it was going to be like, okay, you need to birdie this to get your card, or you need to par this to get your card. And John told me on the tee that I was like a few shots clear and I could relax a little bit. And the walk up 18 was like, I was stoked. Like,
on 18.
I saw you before I tapped in, right?
Yeah, so you went up and marked your ball and you looked over.
Yeah.
And you like double take.
Yeah.
And then you came over and gave us a hug. Did you really think we just showed up for the 18?
I was like, usually if you're on the course and people are like watching you or following you, like you can see them. Did not see you guys once.
I'll be honest, there was a few holes that it was really tough.
Just like tough to hide, or?
Yeah, because there was only like 4 trees in the whole hole. It's a 500-yard hole. There's 2 trees or 4 trees.
Like if I would have turned back, I would have seen you guys.
100%.
Yeah.
But I knew you were like so focused that you weren't going to most of the time. There was a couple times that we walked directly up the middle of the fairway. Seriously, you hit your fairway shot going into the green, and we like crossed the fairway.
Yeah.
You didn't see it?
Didn't see it at all.
You were pretty surprised?
That was pretty cool to have you guys there. That was awesome.
It was so, like I said, it was so much fun. It was so fun for me to like, I don't know, how long have I known you? 15 years. But known you fairly well in the last like 6 or 7.
Yeah.
And to see the progression from high, I don't know, what's the right word? Very peaks and valleys, Mike Belle, to a super steady Mike Belle. And I look at your score.
With that.
You look at your scores from the week.
Yeah.
70, 69, 69, 70. Super impressive and very exciting for me.
Pretty cool.
Because from the beginning, even like 3 or 4 years ago, when we played together, I thought you hit the ball well enough to play web.com.
Yeah.
Even just watching web.com tournaments.
But I didn't have mental or attitude to get there. Like,
and I obviously don't know the guys on web.com, so I don't know what their
games are like. Yeah.
Game management mental game is like.
Yeah.
But I thought you always hit it well enough. And I would have these conversations with Alex a lot. Is like, what's the difference? Why isn't He goes out and shoots he plays awful with us. He's hitting it all over the place and he shoots 67.
Yeah.
Like, why is he shooting 73 in a tournament? I don't understand. But to see you shoot 4 rounds, 2 at 70, 2 at 69, just the consistency, it's super exciting, super cool. I have a really honest question though.
Yeah.
We can wrap up after this. How important is Palm Springs to your success?
So, for anyone who doesn't know, every November,
Yes,
every November we get 4 to 8 guys, somewhere in there.
We had 7 last year. That was the highest. That was the most.
4 to 7 guys, and we go for like a guy's trip to Palm Springs. And I could say honestly that I think Palm Springs trip is one of the most important things in my life. It's very. I don't want to. What do I want to say here? It's very. It's like it's nice to unwind like after a golf season, and just kind of hang out with the guys and play golf that doesn't have any like extra stresses to it. Because after a full season of golf, like every single round seems like it's like there's a lot of stress to it. There's a lot of negative stuff going on, and you start to like you don't start to not love the game, but like it becomes not fun after like a full season of like grinding. Yeah. And being out there, you just kind of you realize how much you actually enjoy it. You know what I mean? Like it's fun to go do that and like see why you play, like how special it is to be able to play it for a living, because you forget that like you get to do that for your job.
Real estate is the same for me. Is I love it so much.
Yeah.
But there's like 4 or 5 months of the year that are just insanity.
Yeah.
And it's like March to July, and then August, just try to chill. Yeah. Because you need it.
You need it.
You can't go hard all the time.
And people will come up to you and be like, "Oh, you're a professional golfer. Like that's you're really lucky to do that for a living." And I am like, it's super, like it's pretty cool to be able to do that for a living, but it's for people that see it from the outside, don't realize how stressful it is. Like the money part, we talked about it for a while. You're in trouble with money for quite a long time, and sometimes you're never really out of it unless you make it big. But like being able to unwind with like a fun trip, like really shows you how much you like it and like how lucky it is to have.
That's the thing, is that no one on the outside understands what the day-to-day is like.
Yeah.
So I hear people all the time say like, "Oh, you're a realtor. The last 3 years have been so great in Vancouver. You must be loving your life." Sure, it's been good. Yeah. But at the same time, it's like they don't see the 18-hour work days. Yeah. They don't see up till 3 a.m. writing contracts and sending paperwork and all this bullshit.
Yeah.
Like working for working for yourself must be so great. Sure, it's fun sometimes.
It's good in the good days, and it's fucking the worst in the other. Like
so many highs and lows, right?
Totally.
And your career path might be even worse, just because it's like so up and down, and it's solely dependent on you. It's like entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
It's solely dependent on you.
You have no one.
Golf is insane. Like
no one to blame but yourself at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
But it makes like the Q school moments and stuff like that pretty special when like you get those cool, like the happy times.
100%.
Yeah.
And even from like, obviously I'm a big fan and I want you to crush it and be on the PGA, and I want to watch you in the Masters at Augusta. So you're going to get me tickets. Even just to like have the adversity that happened in Q school this year. Like you said, if you shot a bogey free 60 or 70, made it easy, it's not the same experience, man. Being 3 over through 5 is intimidating as fuck.
It was very uneasy. Like,
but man, I'm excited that you had that experience.
Yeah.
Just because you're going to be able to pull so much from that in the future.
Yeah, I can look at that like situation, like for as long as I play tournament golf, as like a just adversity that I got through.
It's different so like we both did this as a kid.
Yeah.
Look at someone we idolized. I had T-Mac on my fucking wristband. You had TW on your ball.
Yeah.
And be like, they can do it. Why can't I? But to when you can look back and say, I've done this before, I'm going to do it again.
Yeah.
It's totally different.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I can count on you for Palm Springs for the next 30 years.
Yeah, but
yeah. Carl, it's the best week of my life. Every year, it's the best week of my life. It gets better every year. I don't know why. I don't know if we drink more whiskey each year or we just have better quality people there. It's amazing.
Yeah, I'm upset I missed it this year. Won't happen again.
Hey, that's okay. If it was just to keep you focused so you can make
if I am in a PGA Tour event, though, I have the okay to miss it.
If you're in a PGA event? If you're in a PGA event, you're big time, man. You don't need the day-to-day events. This is 1 week a year I ask you for, Michael. If you're in a PGA event, I will be at the PGA event, so I'm not going to be in Palm Springs either.
Perfect.
Unless it's in Palm Springs. Do they have any PGA events in Palm Springs?
Yeah, they have the one at PGA West.
Just one. The Waste
No, that's the one in Phoenix. I don't know what it is. It's at like La Quinta and then the PGA West courses.
The stadium.
Yeah.
That is a hard golf course.
Yeah.
Big goals for Mike Belle. I want to hear the ones that you've written down. I want to hear your 2-year goal first of all.
2-year goal?
2021.
Win a Mackenzie Tour event this year.
Yep.
Graduate to the web.com and then top 25 on the web next year.
Big goal for Mike Belle.
Yeah.
What's the big goal?
The big goal?
Yeah, that was a 2-year goal.
That was a 2-year goal? Well, the big goal is to be on the PGA Tour in 2 years. And win.
Can I share a frustration? We talked about this earlier. We talked about Tiger's mentality, Michael Jordan's mentality, Tom Brady. I hate that cock. They just expect to win, right?
Yeah.
They know they're going to win.
Yeah.
This guy that was in the final group on Sunday last week in the PGA. What's his name? Damon?
Joel Damon.
He had an interview on Saturday. He's in the final group on Sunday.
Yeah.
And did you see this interview?
No, I don't think so.
It's embarrassing as an athlete. As a former athlete, as a wannabe golfer, is embarrassing. They asked him like what his goals are. It was the woman. What's the woman reporter?
I can picture it, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
His answers were like, I'm just excited to be out here. You know, I don't have any of those big goals like being number one in the world or anything like that. I'm just excited to be out here. And my thought was, this guy's never going to win.
I think that I think it happens in too many sports where people are afraid to get scrutinized for saying what's on their mind. Like
that was my point before, right? Are you embarrassed to share your goal?
Yeah. So when I'm in Phoenix, Joel Damon is there as well. Like he's fucking good. And like if you talk to him like on a different time without like the media cameras there, he'd be like, yeah, I want to be everything that you said. But I think too many people are afraid of how the media might react if they speak their actual mind. Like if he was like, yeah, like I expect to win every tournament, I want to be number one, blah, blah, blah. Like the whole Golf Channel panel would be like, oh, this guy hasn't done whatever. He's saying this. He needs to calm down. And I think that everyone is just so fucking like, everyone's so sensitive now. Like everyone is so like their emotions get hurt so much, their feelings get hurt so much. Like if someone says something that irks them a little bit, they're like bitch about it on the internet. Real tough people like behind their keyboards, the worst people in the world. But like I
understand that.
No, I understand that. Some people don't understand that, but like I have absolutely no problem if someone like came up to someone in my scenario and be like, what are your goals? And be like, I'm going to be a PGA Tour winner. And be like, good for you. Like, if that's what you think you're going to be, that's where you think you're going to be. Instead of giving the cliche answer, being like, you know what, I'm just going to work hard. I'm just going to like go through the process and I'm just going to let it, like, it's going to be what it is. Like, just.
You know what I learned early on though? Like when I was a child, like 11, 12.
Yeah.
is that when I had those negative reactions from people, it made me work harder.
Yeah.
So when I was a kid, I was like, I'm going to play in the NBA. People were like, you're a short white kid. No, you're not. Be like, all right.
Fuck you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As opposed to, it never shut me down ever one time.
No.
It always made me work harder. So
I would get mad at I would be mad at the people that said that.
Of course.
100%.
But that makes you work harder.
100%.
You're probably going to swear at them for like 2 minutes and then go to the range and hit a lot more balls, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Anyway, I think prediction, Mike Belle wins a PGA event before Joel Damon. Based on mindset alone. I've never seen this guy play before. I'd never even heard of him until last week because he played really well. I predict Mike Belle. Based on what you did on Friday versus what he did on Sunday. Don't like it, Carl. What did he shoot? 77 or something like that?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, it was rough. He didn't win. Homa won. Homa. Good for him. He's a rookie too.
Look up his story. It's pretty cool. If you want to know mindset. He was like, I can't explain it all, but like every time someone asked him, and he would miss the cut by like 5-10 shots, like 15 of 17 cuts as a PGA Tour guy. And people would ask him like, what's going on? And be like, it's just like, he's like, I still believe in myself. Like, this is going to happen for me. Every single time someone asked him, he would give the same answer, and he never stopped believing in himself, even though he was playing like garbage, which is what made his story really cool.
How many years has he played?
That happened to him in 2017. He's been like a web guy and a PGA guy since 2016. But he's gone through like more adversity than anyone. And he got through it just by like a mental belief. So I root for guys like that.
I think the moral of the story, Carl, is don't give a shit what other people say about you.
Just do your thing.
Do your thing. 100%. If you don't believe in yourself, no one else is going to.
I think even if you believe in yourself, no one else is going to. No one gives a shit about you.
No. It's
It sounds negative, but I think it's ultimately very positive.
I think you
just turn it around in your head, Carl.
You definitely got to be your biggest supporter.
Because no one else is going to. Regardless, athletics, business, anything. Everyone's always going to hate. Except me.
Except you.
I'm a big fan.
I've got a good team behind me.
You know what? When you win your first PGA event, I'm going to be there, regardless of whether you get tickets or not for me. I'm going to be there. I'll pay for my own ticket. Fuck you, Mike. I'm going to be there, and I'm going to bring you a bag of 12 Rugula.
From Sherman's.
Yes.
It's got to be from Sherman's.
They'll be fresh, too.
And number 7.
Like, I'll fly out of the tournament on Saturday to Palm Springs, get 12 Rugula, fly back Sunday morning.
Perfect.
Be there.
Love it.
First Canadian Tour event.
Yeah.
May 23rd to 26th.
May 23rd to 26th.
In Vancouver.
Point Grey Golf Club.
Come out and watch, people.
Yeah.
I will be there. Alex will be there. Does that put more pressure or less pressure on you being at hometown?
There's a little more pressure, but I've always been a believer in if you can't do it in front of the people in your hometown that believe in you, you're just fucked anyways. Like, because the ultimate goal is to get to the PGA Tour, and there's going to be hundreds of thousands of people more watching you, and some people aren't going to be on your side. Yeah. So you better fucking get used to it.
This is like actually a relevant question. You ever had anyone heckle you like in Happy Gilmore?
Great reference.
Aside from like not like people I don't know, but friends and stuff. Oh yeah.
I've heckled you.
Oh yeah. Friends and family.
In tournaments?
Not in tournaments, no. Just for fun. Like how we heckle Alex.
That's fair. We heckle Alex on the golf course though too.
Great guy.
Good guy. He's getting better at chipping too. Mike, thanks for doing this, man.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.
I love you a lot.
Love you, buddy.
I'm super pumped about your future.
Yeah, it's exciting.
I was very impressed on Friday night.
Could have gone the other way pretty quick. So
honestly, I said this to Alex on the way home. That was the best thing that ever could happen to you.
Yeah.
Just to prove to yourself, right? It's such a big thing as an athlete to prove to yourself that you can do it. And going 3 over in 5 holes and turning it around is a huge thing in that magnitude of an event.
I almost didn't believe it at first, but I pulled it off.
After the eagle, though.
After the eagle, I was right back in it, and then it's not like I was in the clear. Still had to play the last bunch of holes well,
Totally.
And still did it. So, I mean, that's something I'll look back at for a very, very long time.
For me, again, it wasn't even the fact that you shot 70 after being 3 over through 5. It was the fact that you didn't miss a shot. You missed one shot. And maybe you will disagree with that. Maybe you missed your points on a few things, but like on every hole, I felt like you put it in the right spot every hole.
No, I was very precise the rest of the round on where I wanted to do, and I pulled it off.
That's exciting to me.
Yeah, definitely.
Huge congrats.
Thanks, buddy.
I'm super excited. Looking forward to watching it Point Grey.
Yeah.
I want to see another 70, 69, 69, 70.
That'll be pretty good. That'll be pretty good.
Come out and watch, people, if you love golf or you don't and you just love Vancouver.
Or you love me.
Because there was only 2 Canadian dudes that qualified for the Canadian Tour this year.
There'll be a few more than that, but from Q schools, there are only a couple guys. So come and support the local guys.
I'm excited to watch you.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming on, buddy.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Cheers. Good night, guys.